RoboSim Roguelike Scholar, an entertainment learning video game in conjunction with IBM Skills Build. Entertainment video games are a vast and growing industry. Revising the need for technological skills is an ever-increasing opportunity to use video games as a medium to upskill the youth. The goal of this project is to create an entertainment video game to serve a dual purpose, both of engaging users and delivering educational content without the degradation of the game's playability. The game concept: a user is sucked into the video game they are playing. They are tasked with navigating various levels and defeating enemies to survive. In order to combat the endless waves they are facing, they can unlock powerful abilities by answering questions directly using knowledge gained from the robot mastermind in charge talking in the background, in order to progress through levels by finding the next portal and moving on to the next topic. Negative stigmatization of video games has been rapidly replaced with a widespread adoption and mainstream appeal. Change is reflected in the academic literature, particularly so within young learners in higher education. The growth in the video game market is predicted to occur linearly over the coming years. This growth is also seen in the increasing needs of education of artificial intelligence skills. However, this trend is not seen in educational video games. A video game with the purpose of being educational or serious games, a digital game with a pedagogical purpose embedded in the game scenarios. There's a lack of mainstream appeal as a result of how they are not appropriately commercialized. The motivation in aiming primarily for entertainment is to produce a product with the potential for mainstream and educational appeal. Users will be taken through a reasonable amount of content found in an introduction to AI badge found in the IBM Skills Build learning platform. This project also is an exploratory study into the use of artificial intelligence in educational contexts, such as leveraging large language models, LLMs, coupled with locally run text-to-speech, TTS, with the aim of providing individualized student support. The UK education system has increasingly incorporated gamification techniques. Online gamification platforms are used to deliver interactive skills quizzes with some points system. This project aims to explore how education can fit in an entertainment video game. Higher education learners often encounter blended learning models with a considerable lack of in-person time and support, whether this be in the form of a lack of well-being support or individualized feedback. Literature supports how the use of entertainment video games promotes mental health. Oftentimes, learners will choose to play them over studying in order to cope with their perceived stress. 3D video game development has many different skills requirements, and a non-exhaustive list could be art, modeling, animation, programming, proficiency with the game engine, level design, and video design. Video games are large projects. Efficiency must be core to the design to attempt to compete with ones of commercial sizes. Reliance on external assets was necessary for feasibility, mainly making use of Unity's vast asset store. Video games, LLMs, and text-to-speech are themselves resource-intensive. It's a challenge to incorporate all of them in the same application. The choice in the Unity game engine was because of its support for multiple platforms, reported ease of use, documentation, and tutorial quality. Primarily, it is common within the roguelike genre as well. Features that make this game roguelike are random environment generation to promote replayability, permanent death so the player starts over after dying, and categorization as a hack and slash when combat is the only decision. A user can interact with NPCs to answer questions about content when they receive LLM-generated feedback using a locally hosted LLM and access to a new ability if appropriately answered. LLMs, although they have the possibility to be used in conjunction with the TTS, are too resource intensive to be used whilst the game is running. In order to improve its accessibility for those with worse hardware, the game pauses physics updates whilst the LLM is being queried. TTS models narrate audio to deliver content from IBM Skills Build Introduction to AI learning platform. Levels use noise and assets for procedural generation. This includes an onboarding video explaining IBM Skills Build platform at the start and a game tutorial. There's a basic combat and procedurally generated ability system with enemy robots. I personally modeled and animated the player character and enemy character with Blender. The art style of RoboSim Roguelike Scholar is stylized, avoiding realism and low poly, referencing the low amount of polygons used in models. 5.4 by Microsoft, with 14 billion parameters, stood out as a clear choice in models.
Welcome to RoboSim Roguelike Scholar. Must be a surprise to find yourself here when you were sitting at your desk a few moments ago. To make it out, you are going to have to beat my game. After completing this simulation level, you should be able to define artificial intelligence, differentiate between AI and augmented intelligence, describe 3 levels of artificial intelligence, and speech recognition systems. Artificial intelligence, AI, refers to the ability of a machine to learn patterns and make predictions.
Since a video game development cycle was not followed because of time and resource constraints, the implementation arguably seems unfinished. Issues are not catastrophic, however. The game is visually appealing, enjoyable, full of diverse content with intuitive gameplay and reasonable playtime. A lot of dead time where the player is doing nothing, and a lack of balance is found, however. Looking at other video games in the same genre, Risk of Rain 2 is a 3D roguelike game which serves as heavy inspiration. It showcases more effective use, tension, and manipulation of the permadeath mechanic. Enemies become stronger with time as well, so players need to progress fast. Hades, a 2D roguelike, illustrates how the narrative could have been better encouraged. The decision to use a voiceover dialogue was enforced on RSS by time constraints, whereas Hades had a more built-in storyline that encourages the immersion that the game is missing. Better narrative design could have been potentially harnessed and used LLMs more effectively, perhaps coupled with a smaller one that could run concurrently with the video game itself or a cloud-based solution. What findings of a four-person survey? Agreement over the entertainment value of RoboSim Roguelike Scholar was found, and there was strong agreement over the value of 5-4 with text-to-speech. However, the longevity of the gameplay was found to be excessive, with a lot of dead time, as echoed previously. Some agreement over the performance-intensive nature of the gameplay, however, this mostly was mitigated. So what went well with the video game development process and implementation specifically, and what could have been improved and why? The video game in its current state is not likely to be competitive in the video game market. Implementation suffered from time constraints more than anything. Development of this project from starting the project was less than 2 months in edit at a time later from someone with no prior video game development experience beyond going through a Unity tutorial. LLMs are utilized well, but do infringe on gameplay with their resource intensiveness. This can be mitigated with a cloud-hosted LLM, which also reduce the file size of the game. Considering the ambitious scope of the project and the lack of prior expertise, this video game was a success. Implementation was carefully thought through and made best use of what was available, although bespoke assets would have been preferable but unrealistic. Legal, social, ethical, and professional issues. Unity assets, all in this project, were free and legal to use commercially. 5.4 has an MIT license. Ageism and sexism are considered to be prevalent within the video game industry, so steps were taken to ensure that RoboSim Roguelike Scholar is accessible to everyone and provides a similarly relatable experience to everyone. Characters do not have any facets of identity, and gameplay is guided through easy tutorials. Project conclusion. The project achieved its broad overarching goals. The delivery of an entertainment learning video game to deliver content from IBM Skills of Learning platform was adequately achieved. What needs to be done to accurately aim to quantify the educational benefit of the solution was beyond the scope of the project. The concept shows promise, but cost-benefit analysis is needed, and provable educational value has to be quantified. It's difficult to say whether the specific implementation or concept generally would outperform a purpose-built educational video game or learning platform. Usage of LLMs and TTS to provide individualized student support had some success. A more focused effort is needed in refining the synergy between these two facets of design and the video game itself. Questions. If this concept worked, why is it not everywhere? The recency of rapid evolution in LLMs has been a driving force behind this idea. Not everyone has the technological knowledge of accessing LLM or the desire, but they do want to play games. Not long ago, models as powerful as the ones found in RoboSim Roguelike Scholar would have been substantially larger, and smaller ones would not have been fit for purpose. Do entertainment learning games have a place in educational institutions? Adaptations of entertainment learning games can encourage young learners to want to learn. Easily disseminated across classrooms with the ability of personal computers, they have the potential to revolutionize education as we know it. The success depends on the quality of their design and implementation. Can a solution similar to this be universally accessible and scaled up, and content delivery be automated with regards to educational components? Within RoboSim Roguelike Scholar, content is manually provided. However, this can easily be automated. The game can be adapted to obtain information from some external API, for instance, linking directly with the skills of the platform. An automatic level generation framework to make levels deliver more content can be made with this as an example to essentially provide infinite educational value for that initial development time. It could be a one-size-fits-all solution if appropriately adapted.